Throw down your toys and get out the sandbox. Playtime is over because tonight somebody's got their ass whooped tonight in here. This is the Friday Night Spot Show. It is, as we're recording this, Friday night, March 28th, 2025. Who knows when it'll actually air? Because that's part of the fun in this show, I guess. This is Aria. That's Trey. Trey, how the hell are you doing tonight?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I can't complain. So we're talking about some Heroes of Wrestling, part two. And this
We
is
came back.
yes, this is when a bad show gets worse. Um, but yeah, are you ready to go?
I reckon.
All right, let's go ahead and press play. All right, so Heroes of Wrestling, we picked up right where we left off last week, where they're plugging the website. And we have a couple of promos to play here. And actually, this week's card, we have four matches. And in my opinion, and I don't think this is going to be a real stretch, the best part of the show, like the legitimately best part of the show, is next. Stan Lane versus Tully Blanchard.
That's the best part of the show. That doesn't surprise me very much.
By the way, press play on your end, or pause, or mute on your end. Are you watching it on the
Sorry.
iPad like you were before?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. I forgot to turn it down.
Nope. No worries. So Tully's just showed up in a limo, which is earlier today, and Stan Lane is now beating his ass, and he's throwing him in the back of the limo. Stan Lane, that mother bleeper, he is taking out Tully before their match tonight.
That's
Uh, hmm?
he remembers winning the World Tag Team Championship from Arn and Tully in 1987.
88,
He knows what is
eight-
88,
88.
88.
Let,
He, he
by the
he
way,
knows what you got to do to beat the Horseman.
let's go to Tully right now.
I have been in wrestling a long time, and I've been out of it a long time. And I came here and I agreed to do this thing, the Heroes of Wrestling, and was looking to have fun and, have a good match with Stan Lane. Um, I don't do this for a living anymore. This kind of stuff here is, I am really, what I'm having is a flashback. Really. We're talking about the intensity that I had with Dusty Rhodes and Wahoo McDaniels and the Road Warriors and Demolition and Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels when they were just coming up with the WWF. We're talking about taking everything that you got, everything that you are, and bringing it and stirring it back up. I've been gone and just subdued and low-key, low profile. But Stan Lane, I'm going to tell you the truth. The only reason you ever became a world champion is because you were Bobby Eaton's partner and Jim Cornette standing in the corner. And you rode a tidal wave that you didn't build. Well, the Four Horsemen was a tidal wave that I helped build. And you're going to find out just exactly what a tidal wave is all about. Because I'm going to tell you, Stan, 10 years is bubbled up inside me. 10 years all of a sudden at one time is bubbled up inside me. And everybody that's ever screwed me, anybody that's ever done me wrong, is all coming out. And Stan, the times and the feelings that I used to have for Dusty Rhodes have all just come to the surface. And the feelings that I used to have for people like Jim Herd and the people that signed the contracts with the WWF and WCW, it's all come to the surface. And I don't need to scream and holler anymore. I just got to look at my blood because you wanted to jam me in a trunk and make a name for yourself. Well, it's too late for you to make a name for yourself. And I promise you, Tully Blanchard might be a little bit older, but I still got the fire that made me what I was. And Stan Lane, you will find out what being a horseman is all about tonight.
So is Tully going to take Stan out for drinks after the show?
I would hope so, but
I
I
mean,
hope they get
I,
their
I
I hope they get their issues worked out.
I think a big part of being a horseman, though, is getting drunk off your ass after the show. I I still
Well,
have
I
a
think.
Go ahead.
Uh, who do you think? Who do you think had more women, Stan Lane or Ric Flair?
Blair just because he had longer to work with.
That's valid.
Um, by the way, I know I've said this before, but I just have a hard time picturing like Arn Anderson out, or not Arn Anderson, but Ole Anderson out, womanizing all hours of the night and taking a dozen rats back to his hotel room. Like,
Uh,
like Flair, yeah, Arn, yeah, Tully, yeah, Ole, uh, I don't know
Ole,
about that.
Ole, Ole probably doesn't even like sex.
He had sex one time so he could have Bryant Anderson, and that's about it.
You know,
But
I have said before, it maybe the other version of the Midnight Express was better, and the other version of the Heavenly Bodies was better. But in complete fairness to Stan Lane, I mean, the Fabulous Ones pretty much invented a tag team archetype.
they do not get the credit they deserve for that either. Um, I will say, as we're not listening to Stan talk, because I didn't timestamp it, that was a hell of a promo there by Tully.
Yes, it was.
And,
Tully
shut.
is
Mhm.
it sucks. It sucks that what happened with Tully happened, and we didn't get a Tully run into the '90s because he still had gas when everything went tits up rather.
Yeah. And part of the issue too was they were not like because he negotiated with WCW a few times, and they were so far apart on money, like they weren't even like it wasn't even worth continuing trying to negotiate. Because like I I've heard the stories they were gonna try to bring him in again in I think 90 or 91 and then in 94 and both times Tully wanted allegedly more than $100,000 more than Jim Herd or WCW at the time was willing to offer.
Was it
Um,
still heard when they negotiated to come back in '89?
yes. Um, because Herd's the one that after they offered them, I think it was 250 each, when Tully failed the drug test. Surprise of surprises, the day he gives his notice, he gets a surprise drug test, that kind of thing. At that point, Herd fired Tully, well, rescinded the contract to Tully, and docked Arn's pay $100,000. So it
I would sucks to be Arn.
Yes. I will say this though. It's like, and I'm not saying anything against Tully, obviously, but it's not like if Tully was there in 1990, WCW would have been, the greatest show of all time or anything. Because yeah, they were actually
No,
allegedly when they did the angle to kick Sting out of the Horseman, that was also a time they tried negotiating to bring him in, allegedly.
it, it probably wouldn't have changed the course of history very much, but probably would have enjoyed it.
Yeah, more than likely. But actually, I remember, and I said this in my book, when I was watching Capital Combat 90, The Return of RoboCop, the Midnight Express really stuck out and not necessarily in a good way. And that's not to say like, oh, the Midnight Express sucked, because obviously they didn't. They were wrestling Brian Pillman and Tom Zink that night. But it's like they really screamed 1980s, as wacky as that sounds. It's like all of a sudden it's like, man, they really like, yeah, it's Jim Hurt's fault that they're turning this into a cartoon, but like in this cartoon, the Midnight Express don't fit into it.
Yeah.
Um, so I actually the first time I saw this show, I think it was 2015 because it was before I met Tully. And I remember telling him that while it's fake praise, I thought he was the best part of this show.
They are 45 and 46 here, and they are outworking like everybody. I mean, the bar is low, but it's I mean, they're
Definitely.
actually fucking working and like
Yeah.
they still can work a little bit.
Dan doing the jiggle there. So by the way, last week we played a game. We're going to play it a little bit more here. Um, have these people been wrestling longer than Julio Fantastico has been alive? Now, I hope you
Um,
didn't look anything up, and this is purely based on what Cage Match says, because I guess there's a debate about, I think it was Bushwhacker Luke. Cage Match didn't have anything reported before 72, and you're like, no, no, he's been wrestling since 68. Well, for the sake of argument, this is going to be what Cage Match says versus the real life birthday of Julio Fantastico. Um, so Stan Lane and Tully Blanchard, are they younger or older than Julio Fantastico's career?
with both of these guys, I
Actually,
feel like they're right
I,
on the like
I
they're
got that
right in that
backwards.
period.
They've been wrestling longer than Julio Fantastico's been alive.
See, I think that they both would have started within a year or two of him being born.
Yeah, that's
Um,
that's part of the fun of this game, you know?
I'll
Now
say
I'm not
under for both.
that they've both been wrestling uh fewer years than Julio De Niro was alive.
Yeah.
Is that a yes, no, maybe?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you are correct. Stan Lane began wrestling in 1979, Tully Blanchard in 1975.
Oh,
Um,
Stan started a little later than I would have thought. He was like
allegedly Flair
26.
trained him. That's the story that came out that he was trained by Flair.
Ah, well, nobody's ever disputed it that I know of, so I guess it's
Yeah, yeah. And he's also not Marjorie Taylor Greene's dad. Do you
uh
remember when that came?
he is not Marjorie Taylor Greene's dad. He is also not
Yes.
fuck, what's her name? Oh,
Wasn't it
I
Marjorie
would have.
Taylor Greene?
No, it's the other one, Lauren Boebert,
Oh,
the
I'm
hot one.
sorry.
I'm
I,
sorry.
I did not mean to besmirch rolling eyes now. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, so he is not Lauren Boebert's dad either. That was a story a little while ago.
I think Marjorie Taylor
Um,
Greene is even stupider, and like
I
I don't know. At least
we,
Lauren
we
Boebert is hot.
we try to mostly avoid politics on this show. By the
I'm
way,
sorry.
AOC is hotter than both of them.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. But Lauren Boebert is my hear me out, and it's not because she's not attractive. It's because she is attractive, but she's a horrible fucking person.
yeah. Uh, Tully's got the figure four on the floor on Stan right now. Stan just raked the eyes to get out of it.
Figure
Um,
floor
I,
leg lock.
yes. I do want to note too that Blanchard would not wrestle again until 2004, but then do sporadic matches, including an AEW match in I think 2021. I think he teamed with FTR, if I remember correctly. Um, and then
Yes.
and then Stan does the occasional Legends match until 2008. Do you remember? I guess you wouldn't because you weren't watching wrestling until '99. Stan did commentary in the WWF in like '95.
Yeah, I was aware of that.
That
Let's see here. I can look up the exact date here. March 3rd, 2021. It was on the same Dynamite as the Shaq tag match.
where
FTR and Tully FTR and Tully with JJ Dillon beat Jurassic Express when Tully pinned Luchasaurus after a spike pile driver.
I do not remember the JJ part of that.
That's what I have written down.
Actually, yeah, I actually didn't even remember the Jurassic Experience being in the match either. So um, shows you what I remember. Um, and I said Stand of the Occasional Legends about 2008. And actually, the WWF commentary run was my introduction to Stan Lane as a child. I, did not know him as a wrestler. And they just
Huh.
did the finish where Stan gave Tully a German suplex, and Tully got his shoulder up at the before the count of three, but Stan somehow did not know his own shoulders were down.
It's such an old school finish. I wish they'd try to do that on Dynamite today and just to watch people get pissed off about it.
I think the problem is like a lot of things, it got so overdone at this point. But
Yes.
Stan is beating up Tully after the match, leading to a future match that never happened, sadly. 'Cause remember, as we talked about last week, this was supposed to be a series of shows, the Heroes of Wrestling, and it bombed both artistically and financially, and they never brought it back.
What a shame.
Uh, yep. So Tully gets the big win here. I'm sure he's in line for that Heroes of Wrestling title that I'm sure is being brought in at some point.
So,
But
it's
go
funny.
ahead.
So I've been, getting my head into Fire Pro Wrestling World again. So I've been, you know, trying to figure out what kind of titles I want to use, and I actually stole it from CMLL because I have to. I don't know. It's just a mental thing. I like to separate like the people who are active today with like quote unquote legends. So to make it nicely, the world his or the historic world heavyweight championship.
Ah, see, I was gonna say you were gonna do the Legends title and actually have it be the Legends title.
Yeah, I had that thought first, and then I thought of the historic thing, and I liked it better.
Is that why they call it that? I never really cared enough to look
Okay,
to see.
that was because
So
those were
I,
NWA
I,
titles.
I should let you know you have about 25 seconds.
Those were NWA titles, and they had to stop using the NWA name, so they renamed them the World Historic titles. That's what all those are in CMLL.
Uh, so it wasn't because it's all just Legends wrestling for the belt.
No, no.
All right, let's go to Jim Neidhart and King Kong Bundy. We're going to cut a promo together as soon as their audio gets cleared up here.
The end problem with Jake the Snake, and especially that snake.
Hey, I don't have a problem with Jake the Snake Roberts, but this isn't the San Diego Zoo. I don't want to see any giraffes or rhinoceroses or pythons or cobras. This is a wrestling match, right, Bundy? You know, son, you talk about problems. Jim the Anvil Neidhart and King Kong Bundy, we don't worry about problems. We worry about solutions. Don't worry about that slimy snake, Anvil. We'll take care of that.
Well, you'll have your opportunity, Jake the Snake Roberts, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Wow, these guys, it's getting crazy back here. Back to you.
Good old Jim the Neidville.
Yeah.
Uh, hey,
Jim
he's
the
got a
Anvil
point.
Neidhart.
He doesn't want animals there at the ring while he's wrestling. And we're actually going to get a one-man gang promo here in about a minute. Um,
So
but
Neidhart doesn't want to wrestle the Road Warriors or Batista.
no, and no animals of any kind, nor
No Animal
Georgie Animal
Hamaguchi?
Steel. Animal Hamaguchi, no. Georgie Animal Steel, no. I don't know how he feels about the Birdman Coco Beware though.
Hmm. By the way, I've
Uh,
said before, the One Man Gang, all-time great wrestling name.
oh yeah. And we'll talk about it here in just a couple seconds or two. But when he comes in Mid-South in 82, I want to say, he just comes in as General Skandor Akbar's enforcer, and they refer to him at one point as General Skandor Akbar's one-man gang, and being like, well, we don't know his name, but he's Akbar's one-man gang, and that ended up just being his name.
Hey, it works.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Gang is getting in the ring. He's about to take the mic. So let's go to the one man gang.
One man gang and caught his comments about this upcoming match.
for you. No mercy will be given. And when it's all said and done, you, Abdullah, will be another victim. This is not going to be for the weak of heart or the weak of stomach, because I, the one-man gang, am taking you out once and for all.
By all accounts, One Man Gang was a very nice man too. Um, so on the back of Gang's shirt, it says "Join the Chain Gang." Upon seeing that, the crowd began chanting, "Cena sucks, Cena sucks, Cena sucks."
He hasn't even been on what was that show? True
UPW.
Life.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
It was funny because I saw that like what year it was like 2000, 2001. Like I that wasn't a show that I watched, but I just randomly happened upon it. And then years
Yep.
later I was like, "Oh shit, that was John Cena."
Yep. By the way, a one-man gang, in case you're somehow listening to us and not watching the video, and also not paying attention to the promo we cut, you're wrestling Abdullah the Butcher, which I don't know whose sick idea of a match this was, but um, I guess one-man gang is fat, Abdullah the Butcher is fat, so and Yokozuna was too fat, so we couldn't quite do that. So I guess the point of this is we're putting people who are roughly the same size in the ring with each other. Because with the exception of the Samoans versus Tommy Rogers and Marty Jannetty, like unless I'm forgetting something, most of the matches have been people who are roughly the same size.
They should have done Yokozuna and Abby against Bundy and Gang and let the ring collapse.
Oh God. Um, I'm not sure if that would have been better or worse than the two matches that we get.
Now, who was
Uh,
Abby's manager here?
I saw it written down somewhere. I didn't notate it. It's just I think he's one of the promoters, and the other promoter comes out later in the show with Bundy.
It's
Um,
funny because a couple of months ago we watched one of the Joe Goodhart TWA shows on the Oh My God cast, and that
mhm.
also had Abdullah the Butcher with a manager who neither of us wrestling nerds could identify. So apparently,
Are
it's
you
a
sure it
thing
was?
he liked to do. I don't
Are you
think it
sure it
was the
wasn't
same
Joel
guy.
Goodhart?
No, it wasn't Joe Goodhart.
Uh, so you want to know something that, like, I guess I kind of knew because I knew Abby still wrestles for a while, but I was still shocked by. He wrestles at least 318 more matches after this match.
Wow.
Yeah. He doesn't retire until 2010, and of course there's the whole big thing with him being hepatitis B positive and everything with that guy. I think his name was Hannibal, who was sketchy on his own rights. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and Abby, shock of shocks, is bleeding here. Um, he was also in one of those like one two these two things don't go together. He was in Ring of Honor in 2002, Abdullah the Butcher.
Yes. Yes, he
And by
was.
yes, and by in Ring of Honor, I mean he had a match. Or if he's had more, I
Not
haven't gotten to it yet. But yeah,
Night of the
he's
Butcher.
yep, he teamed with Homicide, the recently retired Homicide.
Yeah. Homicide
Yeah.
against the Carnage crew.
Yep, Loke and DeVito.
Yep.
One year when like this podcast thing takes off and we're making hundreds of thousands of dollars off doing podcasting and thus we can retire from our shoot jobs, uh, we should just take up an ROH podcast and review, ROH show by show. Like Cindy brought that up and I'm like, okay, I'm not like barely can muster the desire to watch 2 hours of TNA a week. Like admittedly, Ring of Honor is much better, but it's still 3 hours of wrestling every week. It's a little too much for one show.
Yeah, that's maybe after we finish some of the shows we're doing.
Maybe if the AEW Vault channel ever opens up and they start putting up all these old Ring of Honor shows.
I
By the way,
mean,
I I guess this is a street fight because and I mean if it's not, who the hell booked Abdullah the Butcher to do a non-street fight match? But yeah, Gang is just pummeling him with his chain, and Abby is bleeding unmercifully. And obviously, we're not
Abby
listening to the
bleeding.
crowd at this point. Yeah, I know it's a shock. We're not listening to the crowd right now, obviously, but apparently, this was one of the best received matches in the crowd during the show because I guess, hey, if nothing else, it was different than everything else we've seen on this show.
I mean, it's big guys clubbering each other and bleeding.
Yeah.
This is the point. This is the point of all this bullshit.
Um, Gang, do you remember the Rodman Down Under DVD with Dennis Rodman versus Kurt Hennig in like an indie show in Australia in 2000 that they sold at Walmart for $1 and it was like the best-selling DVD ever?
Oh, is that on YouTube? Can we watch that?
Maybe, but I just remember One Man Gang. I he wrestles somebody. It was either Brutus Beefcake or Tatanka. He wrestles on this show, and I just remember making the same Chain Gang joke when he came out in his Chain Gang shirt. So yeah, that probably is on YouTube. By the way, I guess we didn't really make a official plan, but next Friday are we doing that WCW UK show that WWE Vault just put up?
uh, as far as I know, I don't think I have anything going on next Friday.
Yeah. So well, I was gonna say there it is on it's on YouTube. It looks like somebody spliced it up by matches, which that'll just get annoying if we sit there and watch, 12, 10-minute segments. Um, I'll
I'll, I'll,
see if I can find something. But
yeah, I'll also put my talents to
use.
see if I can put. Yeah.
Yeah. So Abby's now got the gimmick and he's just pointing it into the one man gang and gang has got a nice little gusher there himself.
Oh yeah, they both did their duty.
Yep. I mean this probably explains, you know, in case you need any help explaining why King Kong Bundy and Yokozuna weren't in a tag team match with these two. I don't remember King Kong Bundy and Yokozuna ever doing a lot of blade jobs.
No, I don't recall that either.
I mean, Yoko was there when they didn't blade. And Bundy, I think Bundy, we saw him bleed in Mid-South, but I mean, that was also 82. So was it Bundy who dumbed
Everybody.
himself out of position, or was that somebody else? Or was that Gang?
Who dumbed himself out of position?
Yeah, the Ernie Ladd story that Cornette would tell, uh, that he would
Oh,
tell him to come sit under the learning tree. And we, I think it was, now that I'm saying, I think it's Gang. Yeah, just dumbed yourself out of position. Hey, my Ernie Ladd impression is getting better.
you do a great Jim Cornette doing Ernie Ladd.
There you go. By the way, they're now bleeding on top of the announce team, which I bet Dutch Mantel and that other guy whose name escapes me at the moment, I really appreciate it. Oh, I guess Dutch was in Puerto Rico for years. Like he's probably been bled on before. And
This is just another day for Dutch.
this match has broken down because sec the second most inept security team of all time has hit the ring and they're getting their asses kicked by Gang and Abby, who have now just decided to hold each other and walk in the general direction of the staging area. And I think Gang just bled over somebody's shirt. And they don't seem that nonplussed by it. They seem quite plussed.
Quite plussed. Ever
Yes,
so plussed.
yes. Ernest the Cat Miller is the referee. He's not the referee. Just some guy with a good tan and blonde hair. And while uh, the well, one of the managers, I thought it was a different guy who came out as a manager. He's like literally pushing them backstage as they're kind of holding each other. It's like, come on, guys, you know, we only have an hour left on the satellite feed, and so that's it. I think the match ends in a double count out. I'd have to say double count out because you can't call it a double DQ when they've been hitting each other crap for 10 minutes.
Well, they just do their thing until it's time to stop doing the thing. I guess.
That's poetic. Just do the thing until it's time to stop doing their thing.
Wherever you go, there you are.
I was born at a young age. As long as I can remember, Trey, I've had memories.
I was born at a very early age. Before I had time to regret it, I was 4.5 years old.
So yeah, Abby is never one to do a job, and I mean, I can't imagine Gang refused to do a job necessarily here. But we mentioned Abby. Gang will continue to wrestle until the summer of 2001. And we got about 2 minutes until we got a Captain Lou and Jimmy Snuka promo. So let's play our favorite game. So first of all, One Man Gang. Has his wrestling career been going on longer than Julio Fantastico has been alive?
Less.
Correct. One Man Gang debuted in 1981. And now
Okay.
Abdullah the Butcher is he been wrestling longer than Julio Fantastico has been alive?
Yes.
He has. Butcher has been wrestling since 1966.
They're killing all the security geeks now, by the way.
Well, that's a replay.
Oh,
You see,
okay. They killed
yeah,
all the security geeks together.
yes. They teamed up to beat up the inept security team. Those guys should get a job at Smoky Mountain, for all their ineptness.
Yeah.
If the Smoky Mountain the Smoky Mountain security team came running out here, the guy with the big bushy curly hair and the other guy, if they came out here right now and got their asses kicked, would you be surprised?
Uh,
By the
well,
way, Randy Rosenblum is the other man's name.
Rosenblum.
Yes.
A bloom of
So,
roses.
obviously, yes. And now we have a poker game that happened earlier today with Cowboy Bob Orton, Jimmy Snuka, and Captain Lou Albano. And I'm not going to play the audio, but apparently Bob Orton cheats at cards. I don't know
Oh,
why we had to
really?
do yeah. And we're doing the
Why do
quote
you
unquote
think?
surveillance camera, so we're over their heads instead of, just it's a skit. Just do it as a fucking skit, people. Oh, now Orton and Snuka are shoving each other at the poker table. You can't have this at a poker table. Let's go to Captain Lou and Jimmy Snuka.
You pay for this. You pay for this. You ain't cheating me. Go ahead. You ain't gonna cheat me. You dirty moron, you.
Superfly Jimmy Snuka gets his chance against Cowboy Bob Orton momentarily. Captain Lou Albano, the commissioner of Heroes of Wrestling, join us. Let's hear your comments.
Well, first of all, I feel very honored to be the commissioner here, and I'm going to tell you right now, brothers and sisters, wrestling fans throughout the world, 48 years of experience, I will call it like I see it. There'll be no favorites, no partiality. I'll do what I got to do. But tonight, the main thing at hand is the main man, Jimmy Snuka, that flies off the top like a bird, baby, like a bee. And, oh, unbelievable. He's up against Bob Orton, that's made some very derogatory remarks about us. He's a liar, he's a cheat, he's a sneak, and got the brain of a BB. And I want to tell you right now, Bob Orton, if you're watching us here, we're ready for you. We're prepared. My man can suplex from his knees, brother. He's so good, so fine. He's so sweet. This is the man of the hour, the man of the power. I'm Captain Lou, and I'm telling to you, look out, look out, look out, Bob Orton, because we're ready, baby. We're ready.
The match coming up, Cowboy Bob Orton against Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Watch it, Snuka. Watch it, Snuka. Watch it, Snuka. We're coming, baby. We're coming.
Do you think Captain Lou forgot that he was with Jimmy Snuka there? Uh, before
Well,
we dive into that, we're gonna go into a Bob Orton promo here in a couple seconds. So let's go to that first.
oh.
Here I go, trying to beat a man in an innocent game of cards. Albano, I don't know how you do it, man. Snuka, I know you ain't got the brains. But Albano, how you got that card, how you slipped that card in on me, I don't know, baby. And then stand up and accuse me, Cowboy Bob Orton, of cheating? No way, baby. But I'll tell you what you have done. You got the Cowboys dander up. Can't wait to step in the ring with you, Snuka. And Albano, stick your nose in there one time. I'll slap you, boy.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right. So yeah, there we are, I guess. So Snuka and Orton are gonna wrestle each other. At this point, and I know Randy, I don't even think has started wrestling yet, that I'm fairly certain that Sim Snuka hasn't either. But at this point, I'm pretty certain Randy Orton and Sim Snuka would have a better match here in October 1999.
Almost certainly. So I used to have a friend who was a big wrestling fan, and he had cerebral palsy, so he was a wheelchair user, had like a power
Okay.
chair, and he hated Cowboy Bob Orton. Like, just had this hatred that he'd been carrying for decades, and so he hated Randy too. And I would go over to his house like several years in a row. I would go over to his house to watch WrestleManias, and the WrestleMania where it was Orton defending the title in a triple threat match against Hunter and Cena.
24, yeah.
I I wish that I had recorded this. The fucking meltdown that this guy in a wheelchair had over fucking Randy Orton retaining the WWE title. Oh my God, guess what? The WWE Vault has scheduled for tomorrow at 6 p.m. WrestleMania
WrestleMania
24.
24,
Yeah.
6 p.m. your time, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna say it's the anniversary, but no, I think March 30th was WrestleMania 24. Um, so by the way, I forgot to mention One Man Gang is also in the Gimmick Battle Royal in 2001, and he was supposed to be Akeem, but he had actually lost so much weight that he didn't even fit in the Akeem outfit anymore.
Uh,
So
I can't decide. I don't know. I think most people would probably say that they think more of the other gimmick, but I like the I forgot what I
you
was
like
talking
Akeem?
about. Oh, I think most people probably would Akeem is like a bigger character, but I've always been partial to the one man gang personally.
I mean, Gang was, almost undoubtedly better than Akeem. But I think, the only thing we're missing with Akeem not being there is I figured we would have had an appearance by the Doctor of Style, Slick, who I guess also managed Gang, but I mean, it's not the same if with Slick managing Gang instead of Akeem.
How much uh how much cocaine do you think Snuka and Captain Lou consumed that night?
Eight. Eight cocaines,
Probably all the cocaine in Mississippi.
probably. Um, Now Snuka wrestles until 2011 and then has a few more matches in both 2013 and 2014. I actually saw him wrestle live once at an outdoor show in Hazleton, PA. And he did the Superfly Splash, but had to do it off the middle rope.
Okay, this
Um,
match is bad, but it's not because they're not trying. They're
yes.
trying, they're just old.
Honestly, I would say that about most of the matches on this show. It wasn't like, oh, I guarantee the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov did the absolute best that the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov could do in 1999.
Yeah, but
Just that
like,
they should not they shouldn't have been in a match, and B, if they did, it shouldn't have been 8 minutes long.
yeah. Well, this match, you can tell from what they're doing that if kinetically everything was going a little smoother, this would be a good match. They have the idea of a good match.
Yep. And this is actually up until this point of the show, it's going to be the longest match on the show.
Oh.
Keep, yeah, it is the first match to go past 10 minutes. Spoiler alert.
Oh.
Um, Orton, by the way, Cowboy Bob Orton, who until last week I actually thought was dead. I thought he died a few years ago. He was still wrestling last month. So,
Wow.
yeah. Like, is anybody we've talked about on the show, is anybody still wrestling? I think he's the winner. Um, everyone last
Scorpio. Does Scorpio
is he? I
count?
thought I thought he was done in like 2022, 2023. So,
I
you
think
know,
he's still wrestling, as far as I know.
okay. Well, either way, we have one, maybe two people on this entire show who are still wrestling in 2025. And to be honest, out of the two of them, only one of them probably should be wrestling still. Actually, I don't know. I haven't seen Scorpio wrestling in a while. I actually saw.
He had several matches in 2024 and has had one recorded in 2025, so he's still doing his thing.
For him. I actually saw him do a WWE tryout match in 2006, 2007. It was a SmackDown slash ECW TV taping, and he took on Rene Dupree, and I think, and please, I'm sure, I mean, you're the Puro expert. I think he was the GHC tag champion at the time.
Entirely possible. I don't know the exact time yet, but that sounds like it would line up with Doug Williams, I think.
Possibly. Um, so Jimmy Snuka, has he been wrestling longer than Julio Fantastico has been alive?
Longer.
Jimmy Snuka has been wrestling since 1971, so his career is in fact older than Julio Fantastico. Cowboy Bob Orton, has he been wrestling longer than Julio Fantastico has been alive?
I'm not as confident in this one as I was in the Snooker one, but I'm gonna also say longer.
Julio Fantastico, as we mentioned last week, was born April 14th, 1972. According to Cage Match, Bob Orton's first match was August 23rd, 1972. So Julio
Oh,
Fantastico, older than Bob Orton's career.
well.
Imagine
I
imagine meeting either of these guys and saying that to them. I'm sure if you told Bob Orton, he'd be like, "Who the hell is that?" But
I'm a
whereas Julio
big
Fantastico would just say, "Who the hell are you?"
I'm a big Cowboy Bob Orton fan.
Um, he's one of those guys I did not learn to appreciate his older stuff until I saw him on SmackDown in like '05 or '06 when he was with Randy during the feud with The Undertaker.
Yeah, yeah. He's
Uh,
just like
and
that. He's
mhm,
just like that classic journeyman wrestler.
yeah. Um, and whatchamacallit, though, like the story, and like it's insane. Like, I know Johnny Ace got the heat for this, and he should have gotten at least a good deal of heat with Bob Orton being was it Hep B positive, and then blading in the Hell in a Cell match with the Undertaker. And no, because no one had told the Undertaker. It's like Bob should have fucking told him too. Like, yeah, Johnny Ace should have, but Bob should have too.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking irresponsible.
Yes. Now, I mentioned I saw Snuka and Scorpio. Have you seen any of the people on this show live?
Uh, Let me think here. I have to remember who's on the
Uh,
show.
Now I've met Neidhart and I met Jake. Hell, I met Jake before DDP helped him out. So, um, and I mentioned I met Tully
Oh.
before, and I met Stan. Um, but yeah, I think that actually might be it for the people I've seen wrestle live. Because I met Volkov, but he was not wrestling that day. You know, although when I found out later he was wrestling in like 2010, I'm like, well, he didn't wrestle because I guess the promoter didn't pay him enough money that day.
I
Um,
met Greg Valentine. I I think that's it.
Interesting, interesting. Two Cold Scorpio, Julio Fantastico, Greg Valentine, George Steele. Yeah, that's it for me too. Ah, uh, by the way, Honest John was apparently the name of the man with Abdullah the Butcher.
You know you can trust a man who's got to specify that he's honest.
Yes. So Captain Lou Albano, who is the commissioner of the Heroes of Wrestling, is in the corner of Jimmy Snuka. Now, I can't speak for you, of course, but that seems a little biased, don't you think?
Well, we're not up to David Manning in Dallas yet, so I guess it could be worse.
Yeah, David Manning is not start managing the Von Erichs. Um, I think, I think Kevin could have gone at this point, although I don't know how much he really would have flown in from Hawaii for this one. Well, I guess if he was living in Hawaii, I don't know if he was at this point or not.
I've having lived in Mississippi, I would not leave Hawaii to go to Mississippi.
Would you leave Texas to go to Mississippi?
Well, I have before, but that's just because I know a really good Thai place.
Hmm. And tie meaning the food, not tie meaning the thing around your neck.
No, I think the tie around your neck place closed.
Wrong tie around your neck, Trey. As Jimmy Snuka is snooking up right now. Um, so we're coming to the finish in this one here soon. But yeah, it's like Bob Orton taking a crazy bump there, but it's like yeah, it, we're at the point where it's like he can't do these wacky bumps. Um, and Snuka
No, he still
now
can't.
Dreamer has told the story that and I forget where I saw him say this, but he was a huge Snuka fan and he told the story that if he was booking at the time, he would have done WrestleMania 1 with as a six man with Snuka and Orton in it. Now, knowing it wouldn't have sold one extra ticket, do you think that would have been for the better if they had done that, since these guys were already in the corner?
They would have had a better match, but I think it would have taken the focus away from where they wanted it.
That's true. That's true. And I mean, even though Snook was in the corner, like, and I'm sure he was in the ring at the end of the match, but it's like the end of the match, the celebration, it was all Hogan and T. And like, I guess if you're gonna have Snuka there, he would have had to get some rub. And I mean, and it's like I don't even remember. Did Mr. T and Jimmy Snuka ever even acknowledge each other?
I don't remember. I remember hearing it at some point that Snuka was the reason Snuka was in the corner was that just in case T decided he wasn't going to go through with the match that they would have Snuka. But I remember hearing that at some point in the past. I don't have a good source for that.
Um, and again, you have to take some of these sources here. But Hulk Hogan and Linda McMahon have both said that T tried to leave before the show. that he tried getting in his limo and leaving, and basically had to have the limo blocked from leaving. Now,
I can't
I
think of two people who have less integrity than Hulk Hogan and Linda McMahon.
I would give Linda McMahon, I mean, it, I don't want to say ignoring nowadays, but ignoring nowadays, I'd give Linda McMahon a lot more credibility than Hogan. And
Okay,
Snuka just
Linda
won
McMahon.
somehow. I
Yeah.
assume we're going to get a replay, but Snuka just won as we're here talking about Linda McMahon and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, Linda McMahon is not a pathological liar. She's just a piece of shit, whereas Hulk Hogan is
Yeah.
both.
Yes. And did you see that they're inducting Bret Hart versus Steve Austin into the Hall of Fame as a match?
Oh, they're doing that. That's funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
UFC
Um,
started doing that years ago. It's not a terrible idea,
I,
I guess.
I mean, but that was always UFC's thing. Like they did, they did an old fighter, a new fighter, a fight, and a contributor, something like that. And it's like I think and WWE is like it's always been like, oh, we have the unofficial rule where we're going to do a woman, a tag team, a dead guy, and a main eventer, but it was never officially that.
And a black
But
wrestler.
we are getting the replay here, and hey, sometimes they could merge a few of those together.
Yeah.
Like we had Jacqueline as the black woman the one year, and if Kamala goes in
Mhm.
this year, he hits black guy and dead.
Oh,
Um,
Kamala, trendsetter as always.
yes, a trailblazer is what they call these people. I'd like to see how they explain that he's a trailblazer. Kamala set Kamala set the stage for cannibals all over the world to get into pro wrestling.
You know,
Snuka wins
if
with a top rope crossbody, by the way.
every fight is a food fight if you're a cannibal.
Yes. Who would even induct Kamala? I mean, I guess you could do Lawler, but Lawler
Yeah.
wasn't even able to come in to do Andy Kaufman.
Is Slick still alive?
I think so.
Maybe Slick?
By the way, we're 30 seconds away from the most infamous part of this pay-per-view.
Was it time for
Yeah.
blackjack?
Oh yeah. So we're counting down the seconds here. It is if you only know two things about this show, you know the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov took on the Bushwhackers, and you know the promo that we're about to listen to. So let's go to Michael St. John, who's standing by with Jake the Snake Roberts.
Man, Michael St. John.
Thank you, gentlemen. Back here I have a man of legendary proportion, the man Jake the Snake Roberts. He is a man that you all recognize. He's a legend. Come on, Jake, get on in here. The folks want to hear from you.
What I'm saying right now is this. You get a casino, and everybody says, well, gosh, a casino, you should gamble. Let me tell you something, Anvil. You don't want to play cards with me because I'll cheat. Okay? I cheat. You want to play 21? I got 22. You want to play blackjack? I got 2 of those too. You want to play aces and eights? Maybe I got too many of those too. Bottom line is this. You do not gamble with me. The only time you should gamble is this. Listen to me. When you walk in a casino and you want to gamble, the main thing is you should realize this. To gamble, you must accept losing. I don't accept losing. And neither does Damien. Damien, my friend Damien is right here. You see Damien?
Yeah, he just stuck his head out at
Nice
us.
looking pile of snake, huh?
Oh.
You don't want to see us, do you?
Well, I
Let me
know.
show you something.
Yeah, that's
Let me
okay,
show you.
Jake.
No, I tell you what, Anvil. Go ahead, Anvil. Roll the dice. Mr. Cameraman, get your ass back up here. Hello? I'm talking to you. Get the camera back up here. That is not what you need to worry about, Anvil. The bottom line is this. When the DDT comes, then the snake comes out. Worry about the DDT. DDT, 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 DDT. Think about it.
A man of his word, Jake the Snake Roberts. Back to ringside.
Oh Lord. You want to play 21? I got 22.
That
If by some
I'm not
Hmm?
sure if you are well acquainted with the rules of blackjack, Arya, but if you
Yeah.
have 22, you lose.
Plus, didn't we just see an angle on the show earlier about somebody cheating at cards? So why is
Yeah,
Jake
well,
stealing? Why is Jake stealing Bob Orton's gimmick? They broke out the pyro for this entrance. Is this Neidhart or Roberts? Either way. Um. So yeah. Um. From all accounts, I'm sorry, Jake Roberts was level-headed and sober all day long, and then much like Jeff Hardy at Victory Road that one year, he disappeared, and the next time anybody saw him, this is what they had. It's like he's literally having to hang on Michael St. John to stay standing at one point. Um, this this whole thing is going to become a clusterfuck. The next 20 minutes of our lives, because despite what the video tells us that we're watching, this does not go 2 hours and 40 minutes. It ends right around the 2.5 hour mark. Um, but Neidhart comes out, and Neidhart, I think, had just been fired from the WWF. Like he got one of those, my wife is trying to get me a job after Owen died jobs. And he was put as a trainer in Memphis, and apparently he was training people how to enter the ring.
okay.
Yeah,
Why
I
did
gotta
he
tell you,
get
I'm sorry, go ahead.
why did he get fired from WCW?
I think it was just like one of those, cutting some of the fat, or maybe his contract ran out. Maybe he only had an hour or a year, excuse me. He probably would
Oh,
have been better if he
yeah.
only had an hour. I don't,
Yeah.
but yeah, Jake Roberts, is no condition to compete is the PC way of saying this. He's
Yeah.
fighting the snake,
His he is battling his personal demons
and his personal
actively
demons
right
is
now.
not. I don't know what he just put in the bag with Damien, but he almost looked like he picked his nose and threw it into the bag. Oh
Wow.
Lord. And believe me, the promoter is very aware that they cannot keep this up here. So the story of this is Jake Roberts is supposed to wrestle Jim Neidhart, and then the main event is supposed to be King Kong Bundy versus Yokozuna. And spoiler alert, it does not quite go down that way. Jake, by the way, after leaving the snake in the bag at the ring, has now walked back up the ramp, and he's almost falling over himself going backstage. Oh
That
Lord.
is a valid assessment of what is happening.
You have to wonder, like, I don't really know how this show is promoted. I don't know how well is strong point, but it's like if they would have just cut Jake from the show and just never mentioned he was there, how many people do you think would have noticed it? I mean, I
Uh,
guess they said, okay, Jake has taken his shirt off and is now jogging back to the ring. Well,
well, there you go.
he's jogging back to the ringside area. Um, and now he's slapping the fans the hands of the fan, not the fans of the hand. Um, and is now grabbing a middle-aged lady to have this middle-aged woman caress his boobs.
Yeah, that's
That is
hmm.
an accurate description of what just happened.
You think Jake is in the nipple play?
Maybe. Good news, everybody. Jake is in the ring.
Is that good news or is it just news?
Well, at least he got to the ring. The bell
That's
has
true.
rung. I saw the referee signal for the bell, so the match has begun. The the singles semi-main event of the show, Jake Roberts versus Jim Neidhart. We are off and going. And now there will not be a lot of catch-can wrestling in this match.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah,
we're not gonna get intricate holds and counter holds.
we may not even get a lockup at this point because Neidhart is walking
Uh,
away now, and I think Bundy is walking out. Um, well, I thought I saw Bundy. Never mind. So not maybe he is there. Who knows? But Neidhart is now just walking around ringside because hell, he doesn't want to fucking wrestle either right now. Um, so Neidhart slowly getting back in the ring, breaking the referee's count of 10. I'm sure. Uh, oh, we got a lockup, ladies and gentlemen.
oh
Oh,
wow. Uh,
so I was wrong. We got a
oh,
hold. We got an armbar.
look at that.
This is a struggle. This is an epic struggle. And Neidhart takes an arm drag. I mean, I guess of all the moves you could be given in pro wrestling, an arm drag is this is probably the safest thing you could have a drunk person do to you because you're in control of the whole bump yourself.
Yeah, that's probably the way to do it if you're in this situation.
By the way, I started saying this, I think, but like I really sucked at wrestling training, but I had no problem getting in the ring. So I probably could have wrestled in Memphis under Jim Neidhart.
The one time I got into a ring, it was after a TNA house show when they were doing like the photo ops. It was Kurt Angle, and
Nice.
it was the six-sided ring.
Hmm.
So everybody is going between the middle and bottom ropes. But I get up there and I'm like, well, I'm tall. I'm gonna go between the middle rope and the top rope. And I push down on the middle rope, and then those aren't ropes; they are like
Cables.
cables, and they're
Yep.
springy, and hit me right in the boys.
That's tremendous. Yeah, spoiler alert. All the ropes in every promotion everywhere except WWE are cable. Um, now I guess it doesn't matter at this point, but did you try entering the ring like Paul Heyman or like everybody else? Because Paul Heyman does the step up with the foot in front of him, and everyone else bends over and goes in with the foot behind them.
Ah,
I was actually doing it.
probably the
I was doing it like Paul Heyman until someone pointed out to me that I was doing it like Paul Heyman. I'm like, oh, yeah. I also apparently
well,
ran the ropes like John Cena. I'm still not sure if that was a compliment or not.
I mean, I don't think he's ever been criticized for that in particular.
Okay. Jake did not tie that bag very well because Damien is trying to get out. Imagine if like that's the only thing that could have made this show even more of a disaster if the snake got out somehow. And I say
That is a
somehow, if
very
the snake would have gotten out through the snake hole in the bag.
that is a very active snake.
Yes, it is making its way out too. Um, Spoiler, I don't think it makes it all the way out just yet anyway. But Jake went for the DDT. Anvil ducked his way out of it and is now outside the ring regrouping after this hellacious 4 minutes of wrestling we got here. Up now, Jake noticed and he's gone to the bag. He's noticed Damien wants out, so he is pulling Damien out for another one of the most infamous moments in this show's history. If you remember a
Uh,
third thing, it's about to happen. Here we go. He is straddling the snake and is playing with it like it's George Weingroff's penis.
what if it is George Weingroff's penis dressed up like a snake?
Oh my God, I did not even, think about that.
I mean, it is. Can you have a show called Heroes of Wrestling without George Weingroff's penis?
I think that's where this show went wrong. They could have had Weingroff in here, no problem.
Yeah, and he wouldn't even needed the snake to do the spot.
Yes, they could have just pulled out George Weingroff. Now Jake Roberts is French kissing the snake. Did
That's
you see
uh
that?
that's disconcerting.
I thought you were going to say that is what happened. You used that one already twice.
Well, I gotta switch it up. Gotta keep you guessing.
Here's Bundy finally making his way out. You know, now the match is 6 minutes old. But Bundy is
You
wandering.
remember
Go ahead.
you remember the good old days when they had all the songs on Brian and Vinny?
Yes, and then they went to video and they got a copyright
Yeah,
strike.
some of that shit.
That
Some of those things are burned into my mind, and there was one that I remember. I think Dave was talking, like I think he was talking about Drew McIntyre and John Morrison at the time, and it was just the line. So they had the Offspring song, and then it cuts to Dave. You gotta keep them separated.
my favorite Dave song was Break Something uh,
Yeah,
by
break the
the Limp
fucking
Bizkit song.
table. Yeah.
Go out there and break the fucking table.
The best
Dave should
one
have got a
ever was when
Grammy for that.
he got pissed off at like something that Paul Roma said, and he gets this, what you couldn't draw money with the freaking etch a sketch and I don't know what it is a kit that shows you how. My favorite Davism ever.
Don't remember that one, but I believe you.
It comes
Oh
up.
god.
It comes up in my Facebook memories because I wrote it the day it happened.
I, what's your favorite Vinny rant? I think um there's been a lot of good ones, but like, especially after he got married, he really mellowed out a bit. But even then, like a good Vinny rant is great. And so one of my favorites is the Bam Bam Bigelow getting counted out of anywhere.
I like
Bam Bam Bigelow was counted out of anywhere. He is not anywhere. He is nowhere.
I like when he I like when he just got up and went for a walk.
And when he was coming back from New Orleans, he flew out of the Houston airport, and that's where they told him to go to 11A, and somehow there wasn't an 11A. He's like, "Where's 11A?" But Bundy's now on the apron protesting Jake going for the DDT, and Jake hitting Bundy. Bundy is not a legal part of this match. Why are you hitting that man? He is just there trying to observe what's going on and tell the referee. See, now Bundy's getting in the ring, and I'm sure this will be a disqualification against Jim Neidhart, and I disagree. Like, Jake Roberts is the reason Bundy got in the ring. He cheap shot at Bundy.
Yeah, he he got what's coming.
Now, I say this as a fat person, and I'm, trying to not be mean when I say this. Yokozuna is waddling to the ring.
There's no other way to describe that motion.
He honestly, like, and I'm always bad at estimating things like weight. So it's like he has to be at least 700 pounds right here.
I don't. He looks more Samoan. Like he's not. He doesn't look pseudo Japanese. He just looks like Yokozuna as a Samoan.
And he's definitely got the huge Samoan ass. But
Yes, he does.
yeah. So there is a story behind this. We kind of talked about this last week as we're going into Yokozuna. It's supposed to be Yokozuna versus Bundy, but it's going to turn into a tag team match. It's going to be Yokozuna and Jake versus Neidhart and King Kong Bundy. And part of the reasons for the confusion of this match is The announcers talk about how after this match, there's still going to be King Kong Bundy versus Yokozuna. That is not going to happen. This is going to be the main event.
And what a main event it is.
Yes. Um, so Neidhart wrestles until 2013, King Kong Bundy until 2007, Jake until 2018, and Yoko literally was wrestling like the day before he died next year in England. So
Yeah. Isn't Zilla Fatu's like shoot middle name Yokozuna?
I honestly have no idea. And by the way, here's the other promoter of the show. It may actually be Honest John, honestly, because like they, if I recall, Honest John kind of looked like that. But anyway, this is the promoter of the show, and he's whispering the finishes to Bundy and Neidhart right now. It's literally what he's doing, in case you're curious. And
Well,
yeah, the
somebody's
the
gonna
the
do it.
pro yeah, and the problem is three of the four people in this match refuse to do a job. So, in case you're curious why Drunky McGee is still around, he was the only person who would agree to do the fucking job.
When
Spoiler alert.
when fucked up Jake Roberts is the most the most reliable one.
Now, I could say, like, you could complain a lot about the booking of this show. And believe me, we have and we are. These two matches, theoretically, would be a fine-ish way to close the show. Like I say, like it's always fun watching, big meaty guys, beat on each other. So I'd say, yeah, definitely go with King Kong Bundy and Yokozuna. And Neidhart and Jake Roberts. If Jake was straight here, I'm not saying it would have been a five-star match, but this probably could have been the best match on the show. Neidhart versus Jake. You know,
Well,
and
I don't know.
go ahead.
I don't know. Neidhart is Jim Neidhart. I don't know if you knew that, and he wrestles like Jim Neidhart, so you
Really,
gotta keep that in
really,
mind.
really.
I
Well,
don't know.
maybe not the best, but I think it could have at least, been up there. Like the Samoans versus the Fantastic Rockers and Stan versus Tully. I think this was they if Jake was straight, their match could have been no worse than those two matches, I think.
Yes, everybody could have done better.
See, I don't agree with that. I think some people did as good as they could possibly go. Like Snuka versus Orton. Hell, I'd say Gang versus Abdullah the Butcher probably exceeded expectations.
Okay,
You know?
I misspoke. Everything would have gone better if the people involved had been better at this point.
Oh yeah, very true. Um,
By the way, I was mistaken. It's not Zilla. Solo Sokoa's given name is Joseph Yokozuna Fatu.
hmm, okay. Speaking of that, what the hell ever happened to the new bloodline? Like I know Jacob
Uh
Fatu is doing a thing with Braun Strowman, but it's like where the hell's the Gorillas of Destiny? Where the hell is uh Solo?
does anybody care as long as like Jacob
I,
Fatu is doing his thing?
I really don't. And I'm happy, like I say anytime about anything, I'm happy people are getting paid. I'm also happy
Sure.
that people are able to whine about AEW overpaying people while in the same comment saying, "Oh, and WWE just hoards money." It's like you can't have it both ways here, you know. What one company can't be hoarding money and the other company paying people too much. That it's unfair.
People are pretty
Uh,
stupid.
yes, they are getting the heat on Jake Roberts, which you know, drunk or sober is the smarter of the two options.
Yeah, it's valid.
God. So we are coming ever so close to the finish of this show here. And Jake Roberts' shoe has come off. Um, I'm thinking that was not the plan. I don't think Jake's shoe was supposed to go flying off into Neidhart's hands.
Probably
But
not.
hey, Bundy is like, what the hell? Let's make you shoeless. And that apparently is, I guess this is as close to an ODQ match as we're gonna get on this one, since we saw them using chairs earlier too. So who knows? When we're talking about how Neidhart was being Neidhart, they were using chairs. Yoko gets the hot tag, and well, hey, he got in the ring, so there's that. Um, and hey, we'll give this Neidhart is taking the Superman bumps here. Um, it's amazing to say this that Jim Neidhart is trying to save this match. I don't know if
Bless him.
that is humanly yeah.
Somebody in here has some
And,
professional pride.
yes. Bundy out of the corner with the avalanche. Um, 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 King Kong Bundy just pinned Jake Roberts. And Trey, do you know why I'm umming, right?
No.
Because Jake just tagged out. Jake was not the legal man in this match. I don't think Bundy was the
Oh,
legal man in this match.
I think that the result of that match should be overturned.
I think we need to go to the Mississippi State Athletic Commission here.
I don't
But
think there is one.
Bundy, oh damn, that would explain things. Yeah, because that's why UFC was running down there so much back at this point. So Neidhart and Bundy win, and Yokozuna, who was in the match for about, I don't know, 30 seconds, is teasing, beating up the promoter of the show. That poor bastard ever do to
I mean,
you?
wouldn't you after all this bullshit?
I mean, I'd wait until the check bounced, but from all accounts, I think the check cleared. And yeah, I refuse to believe this guy had ever taken a bump in his life, because I'll
Oh
tell you
no.
what, I can run the ropes better than that. I may have taken my Samoan drop may have been as bad, if not worse, than the one he took, but I could have at least gone off the ropes. And now Jake is taken out the snake, and is going to lay it on the promoter. And if there's ever a better way to end the show, I guess I don't know what it is.
It's symbolic.
They fade to black here, but it's not quite over yet. They fade to black. They're going to the screen showing the website, but they come back to it because the show just ends because the announcers still think they're doing the Yokozuna King Kong Bundy match until the show just fades to black on them. And now the show's
Yeah.
come to an end.
No, we done.
Yeah. So that is the Heroes of Wrestling. And I mean, obviously, this was one sucky ass show. No doubt. Um, the matches by and large were bad. The promos by and large were awful. Um, However, it's like, and I think you talked about this last week, where it's like, if you bought this show or you went to this show, you did not go to this show thinking that it was going to be full of 4-star matches. You went to see the hokiness, of Jake the Snake Roberts and, you know, everything that you saw on this show. And I mean, part of the problem, we mentioned this too last week, the people who were that age in their 40s and 50s who could still go, they were in WWF and WCW at this point. Like, this is the type of show that Jim Duggan should have come out and had a match with somebody, but Jim Duggan is in WCW at this point. And
Mhm.
I'll say Jim Duggan probably could have gone out there and had in the top half of matches on this show. Not that that's
You
saying a
know,
whole lot.
I think that this was actually when he was dealing with the cancer, so maybe not.
I think he came back because the cancer was September of '98, and I know he becomes the janitor really soon.
Yeah,
Um, so I
yeah,
don't
that's what
remember
I
if
was
he's
basing
back.
that on. That
Yeah,
he's back from the cancer soon after this.
yeah. So I mean, either way, but it's like I said, like anybody who could go who wanted to still be in wrestling was signed up already. And we talked about this last week. Like if they wanted to have a good wrestling show, where's Tim Horner? Where's Tracy Smothers? You know,
Right?
I bet White Boy's probably out there. They could have had White Boy come in. And no, these weren't national names, but neither were Julio Fantastico. And at this point in
Oh.
1999, who the hell knew who the Samoans or Tommy Rogers or even in some cases, who the hell knew who Marty Jannetty was at this point?
Honestly, one good van from Tennessee would have made the show a lot better.
I bet, Tommy Rich, for all the crap, we say about Tommy Rich, he could have come in and had a decent match. But they
Yeah,
they did they did not call up Cornette for advice on Legends the book for this show. Hell, we got the fucking Rock and Roll Express while we're talking about it. This could have been a Smoky Mountain Wrestling reunion show and would have done a shit ton better.
yeah. I don't think they. Well, you pointed out maybe they made the best. Well, they didn't know. Because that's your point, right? They didn't make the best choices they could have.
I mean, with the talent book, to be honest, I'll say this with the talent they booked, they probably did book the absolute best show that they could, but
Yeah,
that's still not saying much. Um,
damning with faint praise.
yes. So, ultimately, how would you rate this show if you were to rate it?
Um, I don't know. I feel like it kind of exists in its own thing as like a novelty, as like the have you ever seen the movie Manos, The Hands of Fate?
I have.
It's like so it's famously like considered one of the worst movies of all time. And if you actually watch it, it's fascinating. It's an exercise in fucking up everything imaginable. Like it fails at being a movie at every turn. The cinematography is bad, the acting is bad, the writing is bad. Uh this show is the wrestling equivalent of Manos the Hands of Fate. It just fails in every way.
Well,
Like it's
unlike,
fascinating. It's such a complete failure that it's fascinating to watch.
well, that's going to do it for this week's Friday Night Spot show. Unlike Jeff Jarrett in 1998, this show is over. Um, I tried popping you there. It doesn't sound like I did.
I'm
Um,
sorry. I chuckled as I was unmuting.
so we'll be back on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We never go away on this network here. But thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.